Elisabetta Gardini, today it's a very burning issue, how young people in Europe get radicalized, because as we know now already that some of Parisian terrorists are with European passports. How do you explain this phenomenon?
It's very difficult to explain, also because I am Italian, so I don't know very well the French situation. That it's totally different from Italy. In Italy, we don't have such a situation because the migration is relatively recent, so we don't have these second, third generations radicalized. But I remember several persons. Some few colleagues of mine, for example, Swat Zbai, she comes from Morocco, and she said that she said a few years ago that there was the risk of radicalization, also because, in her opinion, the community from Morocco living in Italy, for example, sometimes are more traditional, not in a good way, but in a bad way, than the community in Morocco. For example, in Morocco now they can't have 2, 3 wives. But in Italy, the community, there are communities where men pretend to have 2, 3 wives, as was in the ancient old days. And she says that we misunderstood what is the real integration, the real acceptance of other culture. It doesn't mean that they don't have to respect our laws. They have to respect our laws if they come to live in our countries. I can't see little tiny community, for example, in London, where they apply the Sharia instead of the common law. But here in Europe, we misunderstood. We think that solidarity, that come si dice accoglienza, including this community means to accept whatever they pretend their culture want. And sometimes it's not true. In their country, they can't have such behavior, but they pretend to have this behavior in our countries. And I think that this is also one of the problems we are not facing.
As Italian, what is your recipe? How you think this problem can be fixed? Because it's a great concern of the citizens, because they see that it's not the first generation, it's the second, sometimes third generation who is choosing this dangerous path.
But, speaking with the French colleagues, for example, I know that in France it's a very they are put in place many initiatives in order to prevent radicalization. And what we are discussing on in this plenary and what we are going to vote in this plenary is a resolution, Dati resolution, Rachida Dati, French colleague. She was a minister also, and she comes from Morocco. Her family comes from Morocco, and she is really deeply involved in such issues. I went with her also in Guantanamo, for example, and she was really shocked, for example, because there the radicalization was not an issue. And I think we can learn from the mistakes, from the French mistakes, and also from the policy they are putting in place in order to prevent radicalization and do other things in order to de-radicalize the persons. But of course, it's true that the integration means that they have to respect the constitution of the country where they actually live now. They have to share very few general values. The gender equality is an issue, very important issue. For example, it happened to me in Italy that I went to a swimming pool and there were two, three men taking a bath, swimming, but their wives and their daughters were not there. And I see, it's really, I don't want to swim in a pool where there are men who impede their daughters and wives to swim with all of us. Because it means that these men look at me in a different way. I don't like. But the rules of our community must be respected by everybody. When somebody coming from other culture, other countries live with us, but they respect the rules, there is no problem. It's a very, very nice thing. It's a added value. It's a richness for everybody.
But this report talks not about the richness, it's about dangers. So what do you think are the major conclusions that would or might change the situation, that can really fix the thing that we don't face these horrors of terrorism anymore in Europe?
I think what we say as political party, Forza Italia, is that we need a real international coalition with everybody on board, from United States, NATO, Russia, China, EU, because we have to stop the terrorism where the terrorism has his territory. And now terrorism is an Islamic State, and there is a territory, there is an area, and we have to fight against. But we need a very international coalition with everybody on board. And then, of course, this is not enough. We need to integrate people here. We need to have a good cohabitation with all the person here. Because now they are also scared. Because I saw interviews, and these nice Pacific persons living with us, now they are scared that their integration is finished, that we as Italians, French, and so on, European people, look at them in a different way, being scared by them. And this is also something we have to avoid.
You said about the coalition, but how it can be created if today we heard this terrible news about shooting down the Russian plane 4 kilometers from Turkish border. So, for example, Turkey is not clear about its position being a member of NATO and candidate country for the European Union. So isn't your opinion about creating this coalition a little bit too of utopia?
No, I think it's not a utopia, it's a necessity. It's necessary because we can't win if we are divided. I am convinced of this. We need the coalition, we need to share the same actions. Otherwise, if we will be divided, I think the fight will be longer and longer, and we will continue to live in fear. And I know it's not easy. The airplane shut down today. I hope it's an incident. But it's also true what we said, that Turkey need to be clear. Turkey is vague. Turkey is with one foot in the NATO and fighting ISIS on the other with the Kurdish people. They are so. And Turkey is always a part of a solution, and so a part of a problem, a part of the solution. But many countries now are part of the problem and part of the solution. We have to work in order to make them part of the solution.
Thank you, Elisabetta Gardini.